It begins at the dinner table. Food is on the plates, but no one is really eating. The silence is not calm. It's loaded, toxic, waiting to explode. A 7-year-old sits frozen, listening harder than chewing, watching the adults like prey watches a predator. Every twitch of an eyebrow, every sigh, every clink of a spoon feels like a warning. Tonight it might stay quiet. Tonight it might end in shouting, slamming, rage. The child doesn't know when, only that it will come. This is not dinner. This is a minefield. And in that minefield, the mind makes a brutal bargain. If I keep the peace, maybe the family won't collapse. That is the seed of survival planted in a brain still learning to spell. Childhood ends the moment that thought takes root. So the child disappears, not all at once, but piece by piece. Less crying, less asking, less being. They smile when they don't want to. They laugh to keep the storm away. They monitor the room like a guard dog, ears sharp, body tense, heart racing. They trade freedom for safety. And the adults clap for the performance. So responsible, so strong, so mature. They mistake fear for discipline. They celebrate obedience carved out of terror. They call it character, but it's not character. It's damage. Here is the truth. This child is not strong. They are cornered. They are not mature. They are erased. What you see is not resilience. It is survival dressed up for approval. And no one asks the question that burns through the mask. What did it cost? The cost is everything. A stolen voice, a buried self, a childhood cut off before it had the chance to live. That theft has a name. It is not love. It is not discipline. It is parentification, the silent robbery of a child's right to simply be a child. The child disappears to keep the family intact. But what do we call a world where the protector is the one who should have been protected? There is a name for it: parentification. It is the silent reversal of roles, the cruel demand that a child carry what was never theirs. They become what no child should ever become: the caretaker who comforts the parent's sadness, the peacemaker who steps in when the shouting starts, the therapist who absorbs confessions that burn their small ears, the shield who tries to block chaos with a body still learning to grow. And the body pays for it. The nervous system locks into hypervigilance, always on guard, always scanning, always ready for the next blow. A child cannot play when every moment feels like walking on glass. Sleep is shallow. The jaw clenches. The stomach knots. Fear becomes their daily meal. Out of this terror, poisonous beliefs grow. Love is not free. It must be bought. My needs are dangerous. Other people's needs are urgent. Safety only exists when I erase myself. So the child begins to vanish, not all at once, but piece by piece. Less crying, less asking, less being. In place of the child comes the role: the good kid, quiet, obedient, the listener, the fixer, the healer. They wear the mask so well that even adults applaud. So mature, so responsible, so strong. But those words are not compliments. They are blindfolds. Praise becomes complicity. The world claps while the child suffocates. And the mask, it fuses to the skin. Worn too long, it stops feeling like a disguise. The child forgets it's an act at all. They grow up believing the mask is who they are, always giving, never needing, endlessly strong. But behind it, the real child is buried alive, screaming to be seen. This is the cruelty of parentification. A family preserved on the surface, a child erased underneath. Adults call it strength, but let's name it clearly. It is neglect. It is betrayal. It is the theft of a self. On the surface, everything looks accomplished. Degrees, promotions, achievements line up like proof that life is under control. But behind that polished exterior, the child is still there, wounded, unprotected, unheard. The voice that once cried out in fear still whispers in adulthood, "Why did no one protect me?" That pain does not disappear. It hardens, shaping the way they move through the world. It shows up as hyper-independence. What others admire as strength is, in truth, fear wearing armor. They cannot ask for help because needing once meant rejection. Depending on someone feels like handing over a weapon. Love itself feels temporary, something that can be taken back at any moment. Trust is not relief, it is exposure. It shows up as emotional numbness. Joy feels unsafe, almost threatening. They cannot relax into laughter because happiness once ended too quickly. Sadness is buried, locked away, because showing pain once made things worse. Over time, they learn that the safest option is to feel as little as possible. What remains is emptiness, a life half-lived. It shows up as achievement at any cost. Work is not just work, it is survival. Accomplishments become the only proof of worth. They keep going long after exhaustion sets in, because stopping feels like disappearing. Rest brings shame. Success feels hollow. And still, they push, because silence inside is worse. It shows up as survival mode. Chaos feels normal, almost comfortable. Calm feels suspicious, like the silence before a storm. Love is never just love. It is debt, a burden, a risk. Safety feels fragile, as if it could vanish in an instant. Peace is a stranger. The smallest details expose the wound, apologizing for tears, as if sorrow is an offense, flinching at compliments, as if kindness is a mistake, confusing burnout with strength, collapse with victory. These are not quirks. They are the body's record of pain. And at the root of it all remains the same truth. A child left unprotected. That child still waits, still hopes, still cries in silence, "Please, someone protect me." The hidden wounds of adulthood do not appear out of nowhere. They are the natural extension of choices the child once made. Choices not of freedom, but of survival. It was never about strength or weakness. It was about staying alive in a world that did not feel safe. It was not a conscious decision. It was instinct. A child cannot weigh options or plan escape. A child can only adapt. And so, to preserve connection, the very thing their survival depended on, they sacrificed authenticity. They hid their tears, swallowed their anger, silenced their needs. The message was clear. If I am fully myself, I will not be loved. If I am not loved, I will not survive. This is not weakness. This is natural intelligence written into the body. The nervous system reconfigured itself to ensure attachment, even at the cost of truth. Hypervigilance, compliance, perfectionism. These were not flaws, but shields. Shields that worked. shields that kept them close enough to survive. But here lies the tragedy. What once saved the child now traps the adult. The very patterns that once guaranteed closeness now create distance. The silence that once protected now isolates. The achievements that once proved worth now consume. The shrinking of the self that once avoided punishment now prevents intimacy, visibility, and freedom. Survival was never the mistake. The mistake is believing survival is all there is. The body still clings to old strategies, long after the danger has passed, confusing the past with the present. And so, the adult lives bound by chains first forged in childhood, still longing not just to survive, but to truly live. What began as survival in childhood becomes a quiet weight in adulthood. The walls that once kept danger away now keep tenderness out. And beneath the polished exterior, the longing does not vanish. It only grows more desperate, though it often hides in silence. The adult longs for someone to notice that the strength they project is not the whole story. Behind the achievements, behind the smile, there is exhaustion. There is a wish that, just once, someone would see through the mask and say, "You don't have to carry this alone." They dream of collapsing without shame, of being held without judgment, to lay down the armor, to let the tears fall, to rest in safety instead of defending it. This is not a fantasy of weakness, but a deep hunger that has never been met. And the truth is clear. This longing is not the need of the adult alone. It is the voice of the child within, the child who never received comfort, who never felt truly protected. What surfaces now is not immaturity, but unhealed pain. Until that pain is acknowledged, the cycle continues. The adult survives, but does not feel whole. Healing begins not by erasing the child, but by finally giving them what was once denied: the right to be vulnerable, the right to be held. The longing to be seen for who we truly are leads naturally into the question of healing. Yet, healing is often misunderstood. It is not about fixing what is broken or erasing what happened. It is about finally witnessing, finally acknowledging the truth that has been hidden for so long. Healing begins the moment we stop covering pain with empty phrases. "I'm fine. Others had it worse. At least I'm still successful." These sentences sound strong, but they are only masks, disguises meant to keep the world from seeing the ache inside. The word "fine" is not peace. It is denial dressed up as resilience. Behind the mask, the unhealed adult continues to carry the weight. They feel uneasy even in quiet rooms, unable to relax because silence feels threatening. They do not trust gentleness because softness was never safe before. They give and give, pouring out care for others, yet freeze when it is offered back to them. And when emotion finally breaks through, the first instinct is apology. "I'm sorry for crying. I'm sorry for feeling too much." This is not weakness. It is the echo of survival. But survival is not the same as living. Healing means turning toward these patterns with honesty, without judgment. It means naming what was once silenced. It means allowing the child within to finally be heard without being dismissed, compared, or minimized. To witness the truth is the first act of freedom. Only when the mask of "I'm fine" is laid down can the adult begin to discover a new way of being, one not driven by fear, but grounded in authenticity. And from here, the path forward begins. learning not only to give, but also to receive. Healing does not stop at admitting the mask. Naming the truth is only the first step. What comes next is harder, because it asks you to go deeper than words. No one else can walk into that hidden place for you. No one is coming to rescue the child you buried. The task belongs to you. You are the one who must turn back, kneel down, and take that child's hand, and with steady voice, say the words they always needed. You did not deserve this. You were only a child. Now you can rest. This is the essence of shadow work. It is not escape. It is not coding pain with forced optimism. It is the courage to face what you once had to deny in order to survive. It is feeling the grief that was locked away. It is allowing the rage that was silenced. It is noticing the hunger for love and safety that was never satisfied, and daring to admit how much it still hurts. Shadow work asks you to weep for the birthdays no one remembered, to mourn the years when laughter should have been safe but never was. It asks you to face the sorrow of a childhood lost too soon, of moments stolen by the burden of protecting those who should have protected you. It asks you to acknowledge the fury toward those who abandoned their role, even if speaking it feels like betrayal, even if it shakes the foundations of how you learn to survive. This pain is not weakness. It is the body finally loosening its grip on denial. It is proof that healing has begun. The tears that fall now are the ones you once held back. The anger that surfaces is the voice that was never allowed to speak. To let them rise is not regression. It is reclamation. The return of pieces of yourself that never stopped waiting to be seen. Because the truth is simple. What you refuse to face keeps you trapped, but what you face can be freed. Shadow work is the act of giving visibility to the child within, no longer silenced, no longer forgotten. And in that recognition, the path forward opens, the chance to finally live beyond survival. Shadow work reveals not only the hidden wounds, but also the patterns that grew from them. These patterns are easy to mistake for personality, but in truth, they are survival strategies carried into adulthood. They shape how relationships are lived, how love is given, and how safety is sought. Many become the therapist in every relationship, the one who listens, fixes, and supports, but never allows themselves to be seen. They carry everyone else's pain while hiding their own, terrified that if someone looked too closely, they would find only brokenness. They are praised for their independence, admired for standing alone, yet inside they are haunted by the fear of becoming a burden. To ask for help feels like weakness. To lean on another feels like risk. So, they continue to give without receiving, convinced that needing nothing is the only way to be loved. In love, the pattern often intensifies. They overfunction, always repairing, managing, explaining too much, until resentment slowly builds. What looks like care becomes exhaustion. What looks like responsibility becomes control. And beneath it all lies a quiet ache, the wish that someone, someday, would simply hold them without needing to be fixed in return. Boundaries remain difficult. Saying no feels like betrayal, like abandoning the very bond they once fought to preserve at any cost. So they stretch themselves thin, giving more than they have, while silently wishing for the freedom to choose differently. This is not character, not destiny, not a permanent identity. It is coping. It can be unlearned. It can be released. The shift begins when we stop worshiping strength as the only virtue and instead begin to honor the wound itself as proof of survival, as evidence of truth. And from honoring the wound, the real work of healing can finally unfold. The work of healing always circles back to one essential question. On that day, what did I need that I never received? It is a question that lingers like an echo in the body, refusing to be silenced until it is finally answered. Perhaps it was as simple and as profound as someone saying, "It was not your fault." Perhaps it was someone pausing long enough to ask, "Are you okay?" Perhaps it was the chance to play, to rest, to laugh freely without the shadow of fear hovering above. These are not luxuries. These are the foundations of safety, the birthright of every child. When they are denied, the soul learns to bend, to break, to build walls. But when we return them to ourselves, even in small ways, something begins to shift. Piece by piece, we stop searching for our parents and our partners, expecting them to heal wounds they never made. Step by step, we stop confusing anxiety with intuition, realizing that constant vigilance is not wisdom, but trauma in disguise. Moment by moment, we stop running from the child within and instead begin to walk toward them, slowly, gently, with open hands. Is this easy? No. It feels unnatural at first, like learning to breathe again after years of holding air inside. But every time we give ourselves what was once withheld, the past loosens its grip. The question that once haunted us becomes a guide, pointing not backward into loss, but forward into life. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no awakening without pain." Healing, then, is not about becoming someone new, but about returning to the person you were before the world demanded you become someone else. It is not reinvention, it is remembrance. It is not self-improvement, it is homecoming. Early maturity was never your fault. You did not choose to grow up too quickly, to silence your needs, to carry burdens too heavy for small shoulders. The tragedy is that you had no choice. But now you do. You can choose softness in a world that once punished vulnerability. You can choose rest in a body that once believed stillness was unsafe. You can choose boundaries in a life that once mistook self-sacrifice for love. You can choose authenticity, even when the mask feels safer. And yes, there will be days when you feel small, when the weight of your own tears makes you wonder if you are regressing. But this is not weakness. This is a sign that the child within has finally been allowed to return home, to cry, to play, to exist without fear. You are not broken. You are becoming whole. You are not too late. You are right on time. You may not have had the childhood you needed, but you have the future you can shape. And this time, you are the one holding the pen. This time, you are the author of your own story.